Would you like to come slay some dragons with me? Awesome. Grab your swords, paladins, and let's march on out. What? You want your wooden spoon back? And what do you mean I don't live on Thra? I've just watched too much Dark Crystal on Netflix. Some people, what do they know? Welcome to Vlogtober Day 15. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box just below this video. I might have been pulling your leg a little bit during the intro. There are no dragons to slay, although I do live in Wales, so it's a possibility. We wouldn't be slaying that Welsh dragon though. However, I do have some whips to slay, some works in progress. I thought you might enjoy joining me for that. I was sat updating my Ravelry last night with some information for some of the handspun that I finished recently, and I flicked over to my projects page. I do try and keep a track of everything that I'm working on Ravelry, and I was looking through all of those projects, and as long-term viewers know, I am not afraid of working on a lot of whips. I currently have 22 listed there. As I was looking through, there was a couple that just weren't really bringing me joy, and the thought of working on them just wasn't that appealing, so I thought maybe it's time to go through my whips and send a few off to the frog pond. So for anyone who might not be familiar with that term, basically I'll be ripping them out. So I've gathered all of my baskets and bags, or most of them. Some of them I know what's in them, so I won't need to open them or just tell you what they are. Others, I think there might be a couple of projects hanging around here that haven't even made it onto Ravelry, so it'll be time to make a decision as to whether they go or whether they become an official whip. So before we start, I'll swing you around and show you what we're dealing with. Baskets and bags galore, and then behind me, there is more bags and baskets. And that doesn't even include everything. I've left some stuff downstairs. So I've got a basket in the corner of the living room with the projects that I'm kind of working on this month. Or ones that I want to work on in the near future. So down there is my calendar because I'm working on that. I've also got, what else have I got down there? I'm trying to look at my list of whips. I've got my Damson gin socks, which I picked up again last night. I've got James's dude sweater. I've got the Mount Pleasant, and the wall hanging is down there. I think there might be something else down there, but I can't remember. Maybe that's it. Oh, that's it, I think. So 5 projects downstairs that I'm working on, so I didn't bother bringing those up into the mix. Hopefully we can spend a few minutes going through some things and figuring out what to do with them. First off, in my Wonderwall bag is my Midsummer Meadow sweater, and that's definitely staying on the needles. I have been asked the question about how I do colour work, so I might film a little quick answer to that question for tomorrow's vlog. Thank you, Anita, for that question. But for now, that project needs to come in the shop with me today. I've also got next to me, so some things I can knock off the list quite quickly. In my beautiful project bag from Pamela, my friend Pamela, is my Ragnar shrug. That will be staying. There's not really that much work to do left on that in the scheme of things. So that might become a goal for November. I've got my Babette blanket in the loop bag, so that one is definitely staying. And then I've got a couple of baskets next to me. One basket houses my granny stripe crochet blanket, so that's staying. I've got this one, which is a blanket in progress, a knitted blanket. I'm making these big squares from a combination of Debbie Bliss Roma and Rowan Big Wool. I've got a ton of squares. I think I've got 20 or so, and I was aiming for maybe 25. So this one is definitely going to get finished, and I'm hoping to have this done for my mother and father-in-law for Christmas. So that one is definitely staying. And then I've got this other basket, similar type of basket, And in here I have got my Vermeer cushion, which has not seen the light of day for ages. It was a colourwork cushion in this issue of Shetland Wool Week, and I'm a few repeats in. Isn't that pretty? I'm definitely going to be continuing with that. My only concern is whether my colourwork gauge will have changed, because it's been a while since I worked on this, so I'll have to do a bit of finagling and make sure that I'm still going to get a reasonable cushion and not something that looks different in the two halves. I don't really want to rip all this back because it's quite a lot of work, so hopefully I can make it work. Also in this basket is a project that hasn't actually made it onto Ravelry, and it's not very far through. So my lovely friend Erin a little while ago sent me a little bundle of yarn from I think it's a reasonably local farm to her, which is Lismore Sheep Farm. She lives in Canada. That's their label. I don't think this is the label. This isn't the label for this yarn, but basically it was a whole set of mini skeins in a rainbow colour to make a hat, and I've cast on for the hat but didn't get very far, so this one needs to get a project bag. I'm going to find the rest of the yarn, which I think is over in my cosy corner, and I'm going to list this one on Ravelry. So this is one new whip. That's not what I want. Okay, onwards and upwards. So project bags behind me. Might as well just grab one at a time. In this oyster catcher's bag, I have my Hilltop shawl, which I was making from my hand spun yarn. This is definitely staying. I need to spin up a contrast for the last little bit of pattern repeat. I can't believe I'm quite near the end. It seems quite small. Hopefully it will block out. I think it will block out. Oh, this is so nice and squishy. I'm so gutted that my new batch of Clanmanog is not as soft and a slightly different natural colour. The perils of starting a project years after you bought the fibre. So yes, that one is definitely staying, so you go in the stay pile. In my lovely bag, oh, I love this bag so much, it was sent to me by a lovely podcast viewer. I have a project in here. I've got one of Anita's lavender sachets in here as well. Oh, it smells gorgeous. I have a project in here which I started a little while ago. The Evolve shawl by Joji Locatelli from Interpretations Volume 6. See if I can... This is a picture of the shawl. It's 3 different colours, sort of striped in together. And I started mine from some beautiful naturally dyed yarns, and this is how far I've got with it. It's kind of this cable-y pattern, and I think this one is actually sadly going to go to the Frog Bond. Just don't really like the patterning. I know it's cables and I love cables, but yeah, I love these beautiful colours. Look at those, all naturally dyed. These two were from Tracy Priestley, and this one is a Hey Mama Wolf yarn that was gifted to me. So yeah, I think this is going to the Frog Pond. A little bit sad about that, but I'm not motivated to work on it, and there's just something about the start of this shawl that's not appealing to me. So life's too short. Perhaps I'll cast the project on again in different yarn, or maybe even the same yarn at some point down the road. But I'm going to frog that one, and I'm going to repurpose this bag because I always want a project in this bag. It's so beautiful, and it was a super surprise that was sent to me. It just came completely out of the blue, and yeah, thank you so much. So one gained, one to frog. It's not going so well so far, is it? I have got this lovely, I call this my Purple Moons bag. This is like a batik printed fabric that I had in my quilting stash for ages. And in this is another project, kind of, if you can call that a project. I distinctly remember starting this. So I started a Ginka fight from the summer, was this the spring or the summer? Can't remember, I think it might be the spring issue of the Botanicals issue anyway of Pom Pom magazine. And I was suffering from a bout of insomnia, and I was creeping around the house at ridiculous o'clock. I think it might have been like 4 a.m, 5 a.m, and I was just so restless and I didn't know what to do. And I came up to my craft room and I was rummaging through my yarn, and I found this lovely yarn from Blacker, and I thought it would make a pretty Ginkerfight sort of t-shirt top. But that's as far as I got. I've got the cast on and maybe like one row. I'm not motivated to work on that at the moment. I've got my Mount Pleasant t-shirt on the go, which is another short sleeve t-shirt. I've got the colourwork top, which is also short sleeved, and it's going to be ages, if at all, that I get round to working on this project, although the colour is beautiful and so is the yarn. So yeah, for now, Frog Pond. Again, I think that might be something that I come back to maybe next year, maybe at some point in the future, but as of now it's just going to sit on the needles for yonks. So that one is off to the Frog Pond. So we're doing okay so far. 2 down, 1 gained. I have this beautiful project bag from Emma of Eldenwood Craft that I picked up at the Knit Tea Retreat Marketplace last year, and that's coming up again this weekend. I'm so excited. I've got my Knit Tea Retreat pin and my Anne Catine bag, which just says "feck off, I'm counting." And in here is another tale of woe. I think I started these socks I can't remember, back in the summer, and from some lovely opal yarn, and I'm using the Darlicanium pattern, which is this fun kind of slip stitch pattern, but as I'm going up, the slip stitches are just, I don't know, now I'm looking, I thought I was going to frog this because I didn't have a picture of it on Ravelry and I couldn't really remember what it looked like. I remember being displeased with how the yarn was working up, but actually it's really quite fun, isn't it? Fun rainbow. I'm not sure if it would just be as nice worked up in stockinette without the slip stitches. I have a pair of Darlicanium socks which I love, because the slip stitches are all in different colours than the stripe behind, whereas this is starting to, I've got a couple of distinct colour changes there, but now we're starting to merge, so the same colour is being slipped over the same colour. So yeah, I've decided this is going to be ripped out, and I am going to probably just start a vanilla sock with this. Haven't got very far, just toe up. So another one for the Frog Pond, and another of Anita's glorious lavender sachets. 3 projects down, 1 gained. So far all of these Ravelry projects as well, so. Oh, another of Anita's lavender pouches, and in this bag, which is from The Fawn and the Fox, I love this Halloweeny skeletons. I could use this all the way year round. It's not really Halloweeny. Skeletons and love hearts bag. I've got my Chances wrap, which is a pattern by Charlotte Boré. It's a lovely squishy brioche shawl in all of these beautiful colours. I'm over halfway, so that is definitely staying, and I think that may come out next month as something to start working on in November. Oops, wrong pile. Put that in the frog pile. Ooh. Then I have my Canadian Mousses bag, which I love. This is from Frog Peak Creations, and in this bag is my zigzag socks. So again, I started these back in the summer. It's a lovely pattern from Stone Knits. I'm doing a really low kind of contrast colourwork sock, so it's just a really sort of simple triangular kind of pattern, and I've got a skein of opal and a skein of Wendy Rome in this kind of purpley colour. So that's what they look like, but some of the colours are really close together. I was kind of umming and ahhing about this because the colour work is not sort of massively prominent, but I really like this subtle effect, and I think these will make for pretty socks, and I'm hoping they might be a stab at colourwork socks that actually fit me, because I always have trouble with that. So yes, I'm going to keep those. Only a couple more project bags to go, guys. 2 more in fact. So first is in this lovely bird bag that I purchased. This was one of my first ever project bags that I bought from a homespun house. I assume she's still recording podcasts. I don't actually watch them anymore. Is that bad to admit? Yes, okay, so in here is a project that's definitely going to the Frog Pond. A little while ago, when I first took on the shop, I started stocking a local brand called A Yarn from the Farm. And we were going to do a little design collaboration. So I was attempting to design a sock with this yarn. But the lady who was doing this is found another job and is no longer has time for this. She was basically collecting the fleeces from a local farm and having them spun up, and she was dyeing them. So she's no longer doing that. I have maybe like one skein of her yarn left in the shop. So yeah, I'm just going to frog that. There's no point spending any more time on that project at the moment. So that one is going to the frog pond. That one isn't even on Ravelry. So, and then finally, in my birds bag, this was one of the first ever projects bags that I made for myself. I love this bag. Is a, oh, there must be one. Ah, these aren't the last two bags. There's some more tucked behind me. So this is one of my last year's 12 cast-ons. It's my Aliba Linde jumper. A bit difficult to show in the magazine because this is like photographed quite darkly, but it's knit from the bottom up, textured to the sort of yoke part, and then it's flat stockingette stitch. And I'm knitting mine from some beautiful yarn that I picked up at Yarnporium last year from Mahudley. So I had a mini skein in this beautiful deep green, and then my main colour is this lovely sort of sludgy green. I know that's not very attractive to call it sludgy green, but I haven't got very far with that. But I'm definitely going to continue with that pattern. So that one is staying. I need to make a few more project bags this size because it fits pom-pom in nicely, and there's quite a few skeins of yarn in there. So yeah, okay, these are the last two. I know I already said that, but this is a definite. So in my Bar Amu bag is my Incunabula cardigan. This was another one of my 12 cast-ons last year. It has not seen the light of day since then. It's a pattern from Carrie Westerman's This Thing of Paper. I love this book so much. I will literally want to knit everything out of here. I love Carrie's designs. So that's definitely staying. I'm knitting this from some beautiful yarn from Midsummer Yarns. This is their black and blue, something like that I think it's called. Yeah, black and blue, 100% Welsh wool. So this is the back piece, I think, of my cardigan. I can't remember if it's, yeah, I think so. It's got this lovely cabling detail in a really nice classic navy, which I think is going to be super wearable. So that one is definitely staying. Oh, these projects that are staying, I just want to work on them all. And then finally, in this sort of wool tweed bag, again, another one that I made myself. This project is not on Ravelry. So I started a shawl from this Rowan denim lace. I don't know if it was last summer, maybe even the summer, probably the summer before. Yeah, not this summer, just gone. Summer before, definitely. And I purchased this copy. Oh, it's a bit of a squeeze to get in this bag. Of the Knitter. That shawl's gorgeous, isn't it? And I really wanted to make it because I'm not really one for, you know, lace shawling. This is my progress. Such a pretty pattern by Anna Canalis. But this is going to the frog pond. I'd never wear this even if I did finish it. It would be an exercise in lace knitting, which, you know, might be fun. But I just can never see myself reaching for this, no matter how pretty it is. So it'd be a lot of effort for something that will probably just get shoved in the cupboard. So that one is coming out too. Not bad, really. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects off to the frog pond, and just one that's being kept. So happy days. This will be quite a long episode of Vlogtober. I hope you don't mind, and I hope you have had a little bit of fun walking down my whip memory lane with me. Thanks for helping me slay those whips. Frogged. That's not bad morning's work. Look at that. Doesn't that look so pretty?